So Philip Nelson, welcome. Great to have you. And you know,
Thank you.
it's up until about 2 or 3 months ago, I wasn't even I don't think you had actually told me your first name. I'd always gone by PM when in all the communications and back and forth. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, how come you go by that moniker?
So when I first started writing and directing, well, actually, I first started in the industry acting, and I wanted to go by my first and last name, Philip Nelson. And then I went on IMDb to put my name into the credits, and just millions of Philip Nelsons come up. And I thought, okay, well, I want to try to stand out a little bit more. I want to be different in the industry. And
Yeah, yeah.
and then I thought of, okay, well, I'm going to put, my first initial, my middle initial, and my last name. And I thought of one of my favorite all-time directors is M. Night Shyamalan. And I was watching, I think, one of his movies at the time, and I saw, just his like initials, and I thought, man, or J.K. Rowling and stuff like that. And I went, I want to have something a little unique, something that will stand out, but something that is not going to be on IMDb, a million times. And so I thought of PM Nelson,
Right.
and I thought, I went, wow. And I started putting down things, and people started saying, this is like a really cool name. What is it? Is it like made up, or is it your actual name? I thought,
Yeah.
no, yeah, I just put my initials together, and they go, whoa, that's pretty great. And so then when I fully went into writing and directing, because I switched over into that from acting, I just stuck with it, and it really just stuck. And that's how people know me. See that name, people are going to know, who, if they've met me, who made this. And so, but then people get confused. They go, what do I call you? They call you Philip or PM, but I only do PM Nelson. I do PM Nelson whenever it's film related, and then in my personal life, I'm Philip.
Okay.
And that's just, how it.
And it totally makes sense.
Yeah, I get on people about it too. When I see like Philip on like a call sheet, and I go, no, you gotta change this. The name means everything, it's so important.
Yeah. I mean, once you've established that as basically your call sign, it's super important, right? And I totally get it. Now that you explain it, I get exactly why. For me, my last name's a little unique. It's not very common. So when I put my stuff up on IMDb, it was pretty clear to me that I was the only Tim Kulig out there. So it made it very clear. It made it very easy for me. Yeah.
And I saw your work on Instagram years ago on you can choose music for reels, and that's how I discovered you on there. It was Instagram. I was just typing up some kind of something similar to what I wanted to put on, I think, my story, or a song to put on my story. And I saw your name pop up, and just, it tells you how many reels have selected this. And I thought, okay. And I like to, go for the more unique kind of ones. And I saw, oh, wow, Tim Kulig, free music. And as an independent artist, it's so helpful when there's, musicians who put their music out there to let us use it for films and stuff like that, because licensing is so expensive at times. But that's how I discovered you, was on Instagram. Like everything else. So.
Oh, that's really cool to know, because I thought maybe that was one of my questions for you. I thought maybe you found me on YouTube, or you found me through one of my paid advertisings or something like that. And to know that you discovered it through pulling in music for reels is very encouraging, because I don't always see all those metrics. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And working with people and collaborating with people over the years, it's amazing to find the discovery pattern, because those are the things you want to double and triple down on, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
collaborations is so important.
Yeah, it absolutely are. So how did you get started in all this? I went into your IMDb. We'll get into some of the stuff that you've done so far and some of the projects you have on the horizon. But it looks like, I'm going to make a guess here, and you can yell at me if I'm wrong, but it's looking like, I think you're in your early 30s, correct?
Correct. Yeah, 31.
Okay. So I think your email gave it away, I think. I think I figured out how old you are from that. So did you have a background in college for with film or in acting? How did you get your start?
No, I'm self-taught. I, Googled everything and went to YouTube University to kind of learn everything. Uh, I've always wanted to be in the industry since I was a little kid. And I was a little shy growing up about doing it. And I thought the way into the industry was specifically to act, which I learned was not true. And I was putting it off
Hmm.
for a very long time until well into my late 20s. And I had some friends pushing me and telling me to just pursue what I love and what I want to do. And one night I just thought, okay, well, I'm going to just kind of hit the ground running and start acting and get into like these student projects and stuff like that. And so then I started acting the next month, and I was getting all these student projects, auditionings, and acting. And uh, I realized that acting wasn't for me. It wasn't something that was very rewarding. And I had all of these stories in my head that I wanted to get out and I wanted to make instead of, help make other people's stories. And I don't know if that sounds weird, but uh, yeah. And so then I just,
Not at all.
and
Not at all.
yeah. And then I just started writing a script one day, which was almost a feature long script. And when I finished it, I thought, okay, well, I need to make this. And the month later, I made the movie. And when I was coming back home, we filmed it in Big Bear. I was coming back home, and I just started crying because I thought, holy shit, I made a movie, and I wanted to become a director, and I can become I'm a director now. And it wasn't until the second movie that I made, which was a comedy Western film called Unripe. And I made that, and then I put it through festivals, and it started getting a lot of attention. I think we won over 30 awards through
Mm.
festivals. And then I even got flown out to Spain and stayed out there for a week because the festival chose it there. And after seeing it there and in Spain as its first premiere, and just all of these awards that I was getting, I realized this is what I was meant to do. And this is how
Yeah.
this is what I want to do forever. And I thought, this is so amazing, just
Yeah.
being able to make movies for a living and just creating, such awesome mediums and people liking it and seeing it and the world to see it. And so that's pretty much how I kind of just got into this and just hit the ground running, started making movies that I was really passionate about and movies I wanted to get out there. Um, and so, it's such an incredible industry to me, to be a part of. And I'm just so grateful that I listened to the people who were encouraging me, but also listened to myself to just get into it. But I didn't know much about school and how it would benefit me, but I've just always been very hard headed, and I want to learn things myself and try to just study it myself because I want to learn it my way and what works
Sure.
best for me in terms of the industry. So yeah.
So is this what you do full time at this point? Now that you've kind of transitioned into like the director production chair, or do you also have like a day gig that also supports what you do?
Yeah, so I was actually working a job back in August, and then I quit, and I was there for 2 years. And I had this big movie coming up that I wanted to film, and I just realized it wasn't working with my schedule. And I was actually at a point in my life where I finally felt comfortable enough to leave, a job and pursue filmmaking. And so I'm so glad I did because, uh, I can just yeah. So I'm doing this full time right now, and I love it. It's
Awesome.
it's it's so it's so awesome, and um, yeah, all these big projects coming up now, and I'm able to fully focus on these. And so.
Now, were you always focused out and located out in LA, or is that something that transitioned during this process of going from acting to like the directing, producing side of things?
Yeah, so I've always been in California. In terms of LA, I've always been on like the
Yeah.
outskirts of LA, just moving around. I've never actually lived in LA now I think about it. I've always lived on like the outskirts of it, but I find
Yeah.
myself always just being around it, just because of the industry. But I've learned though, as a writer director, I can make movies anywhere, and you know, it doesn't have to be in LA. And I feel like there's this big stigma on people thinking that, oh, you have to be in LA to make these movies, or you have to stay in LA. And that's true for some parts and some crew and what you want to do as a career in the industry. But I feel like for
Hmm.
me as a writer director, if say I moved to Colorado, I can make a movie out there. There's people who I have connections with who I can bring out and stuff like that. And so uh, to answer your question, yeah, I've I've just always written around where I've been living at the time, if that makes
Okay.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, use the resources and locations and the folks that you have at your disposal where you are, right? Like that's
Correct.
always
Yeah.
been kind of me and Tom Seymour, my best friend, and he's a director producer as well. That we've always kind of gravitated towards that. We're in a cycle now of our fourth, I think it's the fifth documentary that we're
Oh,
producing
nice.
together, and
Yeah.
so we're both middle-aged males and have
Yeah.
families and lives and things that we're responsible for, and
Yeah.
we've found a path with the documentaries that we write that utilize the sources, resources, and more importantly, the restrictions we have, like going
Hmm.
in, on a location or someplace for a month is just not in the cards for us. So we
Yep.
figured out a path to making documentaries that doesn't involve that heavy travel and location based thing, and it's actually turned out very well for us so far. So
Yes.
fingers crossed
Yeah.
we keep making things that people are interested in seeing and talking about and hearing about, because I that
Yeah.
same bug has bit both of us over the last couple decades, man. It's just telling a story and finishing it is has got to be one of the coolest feelings in the world. There's so many people that talk about, wow, I always wanted to make this movie, and they
Yeah.
talk about it, and then they get caught up in the minutia of like, well, I don't know anybody, I don't have a camera, I don't
Hmm.
have this, I don't
Yep.
know, just get out there and do it, man.
Yeah.
Just
There's lots of
you
people who
don't
would
learn anything by.
be part of it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
I was gonna say, no, there's lots of people who would love to just help out on a film, and um you got to just reach out and ask, and I always say closed mouths don't get fed. You got to just make these films and put yourself out there to really create. And documentaries are really booming, I believe. And kudos to you and your business partner, because I would love to make a documentary. And my friend and I are actually going to be doing a trip to riding motorcycles all the way to Vancouver while filming a documentary on the way. And it's
Oh
yeah,
yeah. What
yeah,
do you do
I
this
think
summer?
yeah, yeah. It's we're kind of just I don't want to say too much about it, but it's just going to be mainly capturing
Understood.
the voices of different communities and cultures along the way, and how it's the world right now is affecting them in terms of business or their businesses or their way of living, and just really like a culture kind of documentary. But back to what you're saying,
Oh, very cool.
I agree. And I always tell any new writers out there, I always say, write around what you can get to and afford, and utilize your spaces around you when writing a film or anything, because last thing you want is to write, you know, $1 million budgeted script and it's going to be sitting there for a while.
Yeah, you can't do anything with it, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Everybody would love to make
yeah,
a great sci-fi story, but
yeah,
if you don't have the special effects budget for it or whatever, it's probably not going to come to fruition. Although there are some technologies out there today that are evolving that it may make it easier for people to do. Although there's some things I don't want to really get into too much of the
yeah, yeah,
AI generated video or anything, but but I, for me, there's a certain aspect of the soul of what you're creating and the cinematography of what you're creating that gets lost in handing it over to a piece of technology. I think it could complement things, but I don't think that relying on it solely as the only source is a viable solution. It's going to be kind of soulless and lifeless
yeah,
at least this stage. I don't really like the idea of some non-entity creating entertainment. It just feels like icky to me because
yeah,
as a composer, I mean, I've written over 1,000 tracks now. things flowing through me is what gives me life and gives me the energy and the
Yeah.
excitement that you see in my eyes, that I'm just like, I'm just so excited about writing this horror, this, lo-fi stuff or whatever it is I'm into at the time. It just like, that just gets excited. Like finding and hunting for the notes and that right patch and everything is just, it just makes you feel alive. And I imagine it's not unlike the feeling you get behind the camera and, sitting in a room going over the script with a bunch of people and figuring out, all right, we're day one of the shoot. That's one of the most exciting things too. I've done a couple narratives too with Tom, and those shoots are phenomenal. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to. I know you don't want to talk about it. Don't say another word, but you got me intrigued about what you said earlier, which I'm very excited about. But
Yeah.
yeah, the whole process, like just how good it makes you feel to like be on a set and really just make something that's your own, and more importantly, taking it from concept to finality. You're like ahead of 85-90% of people on the planet,
Thank you.
and especially considering, it's not the education background that you had and everything else. Like you've got other things that are kind of working against you that dude, I applaud you. Seriously, it's
Thank you.
amazing
Thank
that
you. I
that you've
appreciate it.
not just done one project, but several, right? Several. So,
Yeah.
I looking at what you've done so far. I'm looking at your IMDb right now, and uh, I know about Unforgiving. I think that's the first. That's the first that you actually use some of my stuff on,
Mm.
and
Yeah.
I'm looking through here, and it looks like some of the stuff doesn't have an actual date on the projects that are coming out, but I know that there's Unripe, there's Unforgiving, Two Wheels, Arcane was a big one, which I
Yeah.
gotta tell you, uh, when I got to see that, and specifically there's a fight scene in the shack house,
Oh, yeah.
however that was coordinated, I thought that was one of the most realistic looking,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
just normal person fight scenes I have seen in a very long time. I've been meaning to tell you about this, been meaning to
Thank
tell
you.
you about my feedback on this, and just the color correcting and everything you did in that piece was really, really cool. It felt dark, foreboding, but also like a little pinch of hope, like that.
Yeah.
It
It
just
was
there was
it was like so fun to make, and that was yeah, just because I've seen a lot of movies where and the the um the the protagonist is, untouchable and doesn't get hit or anything like that. And I
yeah,
just don't like that in fight scenes. I feel, and after watching John Wick, you see him get, his butt kicked so much, but also he still, prevails and still comes on top.
yeah,
And I thought of that when I was making when we were choreographing this, and I thought this is how I kind of want this scene to go. And so we I practiced for about 3 days, and we're figuring out the shots, and they were doing figuring out the stunts and how we were gonna sell this. And then come the day of filming, we did it was a 3-minute one take fight scene, and we did that 15 times. So we filmed it 15 times, one take, and it came out to be 3 minutes for that scene. And also, that's another thing too. When when I see cuts in between fighting in movies, it just for me it really just takes me out of it. And I've seen what we call oneers, where they're just
hmm
recording the whole fight scene just in one take, and I love that. I love just being able to feel that because it feels so grounded to me. But uh, yeah, that was so fun to make, and it was so amazing. And the DP, Ken Molinado, he's just amazing with a gimbal and just the way he wields the camera. It just so I was
yeah,
so impressed with it, and that was really fun. So I mean, thank you for for enjoying it and really
yeah,
just applauding
yeah,
it, and
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I could tell close quarters, handheld shot, high action, changing the angles and stuff the whole time to give emphasis on who's in the action and who's taking and receiving and every like it just was, like I said, just really well thought out, really well
mm,
choreographed and well timed, and it was kind of peak. in the sense of like the middle of it was somewhere about the middle of the movie, if I remember correctly,
Yeah.
and a lot of tension building to that point, and it felt right. It felt like it was done right. So kudos to you, man.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh, yeah, very cool. So it looks like there's been your emphasis so far has been on shorts almost predominantly, at least with
Hmm.
your IMDb uh credits in here.
Yep.
Are any of these intended to be a proof of concept for something that you would sell for a more of like a feature length?
Yeah, I'm actually glad you asked that because the very first movie I ever made, the one we were talking about earlier, it's called Two Wheels. It was the movie that
Mhm.
we filmed in Big Bear, and I was coming back home and crying about. That was a proof of concept, and I recently just started showing more people the short version of it, and it got a lot of positive, reviews and attention. And so I've been writing the feature on it for about 2 years, and I just finished the script. And we are in like a slow pre-production for the feature, which is going to be my debut feature film. And
Excellent.
we've managed to lock in an Academy Award nominated actor for one of the roles as well, and uh, getting it distributed into theaters in 2028 as well. And so it's
Awesome.
yeah. So I'm just it's such a passionate, and the story means so much to me, and I feel like a lot of people can connect to it. It's a really heavy drama, and I can't say too much about this one just because we have NDAs and stuff going. But
Certainly.
it's a very positive and intense film about you know redeeming relationships, sobriety, depression, and just trying to overcome in life and trying to just push through life when all things seem against you. And so yeah, that's going to be
Now,
my debut feature.
with the other projects, even going all the way back to some of the earlier ones like Unripe and Unforgiving, were these specifically all um generally speaking, like your overall concept and strap this yourself, or did you end up doing some Indiegogos and like get some funding with it, or is it a combination of the two, or did that kind of evolve to that? Like how did you go about? Because we all know that this is a complicated industry,
Yeah.
and people want to get paid, and
Yeah.
it's you want to make art, but at the same time people have bills to pay and stuff too. So walk through that a little bit, specifically in the short space, and how you've managed to navigate that and bring on such great talent and great you know uh back end work, edit, and post production teams to help you realize your vision and your dream here.
Yeah, so majority of my later movies that I had done earlier, I going back to kind of what I was saying was right around what you can get to and afford. And a lot of them were
Hmm.
just very shoestring budgets, money that I had to kind of come up with, favors I asked for, connections and people who just wanted to help with a movie. I've had some family support, but uh, a lot of them were just very, very shoestring and just me asking for favors and connections with people that I felt could maybe help out with these movies. The only movie that we ever crowdfunded for was my most recent short film, which is also my last short film, which is Lex Talionis. It's a horror
Mm,
film, it's a psychological horror film that's currently being edited, but we used Seed and Spark to crowdfund that and raised
okay.
quite a bit of money. And that one is the only one we've actually used crowdfunding for. But all my other movies are just been self-funded and help, with from certain people and funding it. And it's tough. It's so, I mean, getting money
Yeah.
money for a movie is tough, but I always just again try to just write around things that are around me that I can get to. And it's and you had mentioned later on earlier that uh a lot of people talk about making movies and just kind of keep putting it off, and I see that so often. And people just use your house, film something in your house. There's a lot of great
Yeah.
movies that have just been done in one location. So it's, you know,
Yeah, I mean, one thing I would always encourage people to do, especially when they do that, is keep your set simple,
yeah,
because whenever you got to reset, like you lose track of stuff real freaking quick, right?
Yeah.
So
Continuity, yeah.
continuity and
Yeah.
everything, I always look back at crazy stuff. I was a huge this. You may be familiar that are you familiar with Mystery Science Theater 3000 and
That sounds
that
familiar.
TV show? Okay, so that dates me a little bit. There was a whole like public access show called Mystery Science Theater 3000, and they would riff on old movies that were
Mm,
like first they had rights to public domain movies, Sandy Frank movies from over in Japan that were like, Gamera versus whatever, like, and
yeah.
just like all these different like monster movies and stuff, and they would just hammer them because it was hammy acting and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Just fun, and they would have fun with it. But they have a classic one called Space Mutiny, and one of the biggest faux pas, woman dies at one point. Spoiler alert: there's a woman that dies at one point in the movie, and then the next scene they're coming through this room, and she's at a desk, and it's because they didn't have the footage
Oh
to
no.
finish the rest of the movie, and they had to use that spot, or they had to use that shot, and
Yeah.
it's like, wait, she's dead, so they, of course,
Yeah.
they riff on that and they give them a hard time, but like it's so
Yeah.
important for continuity purposes to like remember all your shots, do extra
Yeah.
pickups, make sure you've got, like shots without this person in it, and knowing that you can't have this person back, like just for continuity purposes. Just it shows how, some people are a little more attentive to detail than others, so
That's why I always say it's spend a little bit of that money and get a script supervisor, and
yeah,
somebody, those I feel like script supervisors are some of the unsung heroes. I always work with the same one. Her name is Summer Lang, and she's amazing at what she does. And I bring her on for all my movies. And it gives me a peace of mind because she gets things down that I didn't think of. And, she'll come back to me
right,
and say, hey, this wasn't in there. And I go, oh, thank you. So spend the money, script supervisors, they'll
yeah.
help you day and night because I catch continuity so much in movies and shows.
Yeah, it's a real hazard because when you're trying to direct, produce, in some cases, director producers actually star in the thing, and like there's just so many hats you're wearing. It's real easy to forget
Hmm.
some of the minutia, some of the really important minutia, and
Yep.
it's it's valuable to have, extra brains on set
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah, definitely, yeah, yeah. It helps when you have other people helping you.
So, with this move into a field, would it be safe to say that you're starting to venture into the feature length area of your movie making career, and that that's going to be your focus going forward? Or are you going to still come back to shorts where it makes sense? Like, what do you think? How has it evolved for you?
Yes, so this, movie Lex Talionis, the short film that we just finished, this was it for my short films. I've done enough, and I wanna just get into feature length movies now, and, it's I wanna be able to show it in theaters and get it out there, and actually just started my own film distribution company, and I've made connections with theaters throughout Los Angeles, so I can now put my own features into theaters if I wanted to, if I didn't have a distributor attached. And
Excellent.
so and so, yeah, I just wanna do features now. I'm ready for it now. It's been a while for me to get
Yeah.
to this place comfortably. And, yeah, so Two Wheels is gonna be my debut and the beginning of a new era in my filmmaking.
What is it about narrative specifically that you enjoy so much? And what genre specifically in narrative is your favorite?
Uh, I just like playing pretend. I love just the stories that just, that's such a that's a good question because I think for me, I just have so many ideas in my head, and I think narrative is just so fun because at times, when I'm watching a movie and I see it, I go, "Is that actually real or did, that actually happen?"
Mm,
But then I hear, "No, it didn't," and I think, "Wow, that is so fascinating how people just come up with these certain ideas," just it's not even real, but it should have been like a real story. And so
Yeah.
I love narratives for that. And in terms of genre, I love drama films. I love writing them. I love creating them. I love pulling, people's emotional strings in the theater and just really having people connect and, with drama because we all go through it. There's so many different emotions, but also there's different types of dramas as well in different narratives. And so I think for me, it's drama films. Although this psychological horror film I just did was the first time I ever did that kind of a genre, and that was fun. That was really intense.
Yeah.
But I think for me, I'm always going to be drawn to drama and period piece kind of films as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Getting lost in make believe and storytelling is definitely an interesting path. I find that that's one of the reasons I've written in so many different genres of music. I literally get into a mode and a mood. Right now I'm kind of in a hiatus. I did so many tracks last year. I did like 275 tracks that I published last year, and
Yeah, I
I
watched
kind
them.
of burnt myself. I kind of burnt myself out a little bit. And so so now I'm kind of focused on a couple little things. Like I just released I play Arc Raiders, that
Oh,
that
nice.
extraction shooter game,
Yeah, yeah.
and I did a bunch of tracks there that were kind of an homage to that game. So I'm kind of focusing on the things that are exciting me at the moment, but I kind of fell into this whole administrative thing this year, and I'm like, all right, well, I have to kind of expand the reach of
Mhm.
the catalog and everything. So I know that sometimes you have to put your business cap on and
Yeah.
focus on that stuff, and the creativity and everything will come, and sometimes you just got to refill the well. I went pretty dry last year, so I have to
Yeah.
remind myself, Philip, that every once in a while you just got to like, dude, it's okay to take a break, man.
Yeah, exactly.
you know,
I've
you
been in
know,
there too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, that's one of the aspects, when Tom and I are putting a film through the festival circuit like we are right now. We we get to a certain point in the festival run where we start ideating on the next project we want to do, and
Mm.
then we'll start capturing footage. We'll do interviews and everything to try to capture like the foundation, the core of what the story is going to be. And oftentimes we don't know right away, especially in documentary. It's like you have this kind of hypothesis in the beginning, and
Yeah, you
then
find it in the
you start.
editing.
Yeah, it absolutely is the case. Absolutely
Yeah.
is the case. But it's neat that we have this cycle where we're able to do a festival run, focus on that, do the promotion of when we get officially selected and we have wins, and we already have something else in the process. So once the festival circuit is done and we go for distribution with that piece and it's finalized the run, we're already in kind of like a first second draft of the finality of the next project.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
like it's this cycle where you're constantly kind of stacking efforts
Yep.
behind each other. Otherwise, you could have like a year and a half hiatus on the project that you're making, and but that kind of sucks because then you lose momentum,
Yes,
and
yeah. I do the
and
same
people.
exact thing.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah,
So
it's
so when it came to like the shorts, as you were doing screenings of the shorts and everything, you're already working on the next project and you're already writing the script and pulling together your assets.
yeah, I have a ton of different film ideas. And
Mm,
so I
yeah,
always have just something ready if I needed to, or I'm always just creating different stories. I'm always writing different stories. And then I try to focus on one story that I want to make. And when I'm making that, and even sometimes while I'm making that, I'm still writing the other one. And I fell into this thing where I just started kind of, like what you were saying, I kind of got a little burnt out from just trying to create so many different stories. And then when I came into this last short film, I thought, all right, I need to just prioritize the films that I feel would be best for my work and what I would want to see in theaters, as an
yeah,
audience. And so, but yeah, I'm always just stacking projects myself and have, different stories ready at the arsenal.
yeah,
So
yeah. So
it's
when are you going to start doing screenings of Lex Talionis?
so once we edit it, our goal is to put it in the festivals strictly. And
Hmm.
then after festivals, uh, there was talks of putting it through to get it Oscar qualified. I was talking with one of the theaters, and they said that they would help us out with getting it
Okay.
qualified for the Oscars in 2027. I don't know if I should have said that. Producers, I'm sorry, but whatever. um, but I just, yeah, it's been a movie. The script had really gotten a lot of positive reviews, especially in festivals. I put the script in certain festivals, and it got selected for certain things. And I
Okay.
think that it's been one of my best writing pieces to date for a while, and I have a really good feeling about it. But yeah, in terms of screening and when it will be out to the public, it just that's going to be a little while, just because we're still putting it through festivals, or we're going to be putting it through festivals first, and that's going to take a little while.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
maybe hold like a big premiere for it in at a theater somewhere. Yeah, it's a little early to tell because we're just still in post production. So, but I'm excited for it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's like the current doc that we're putting through the festivals is probably going to be the better part of a year and a half that we'll
Mm,
have been
yep.
cycling through that process. So I get it completely. It's in order to hit all the places you want to hit, and depending upon when you start, it really determines in some cases how long that process is going to be.
Yeah.
The one that we did right now is considerably longer than most of our runs, for the
Okay.
simple fact that it is the culmination of 30 years of independent filmmaking, and it touches on like the whole journey for
Mm,
the 30 years. So it's a
yeah.
30-year retrospective, and it really shows like the change in the technology, the change in the distribution networks, the struggles we had with some of the distributors we had along the way, ultimately finding our way to streaming, and this pattern of using the festival run and official selections as quote unquote our theater release, right? Because ultimately you're getting
Yeah.
on screens anywhere you're officially selected. It's like there's a screen where people are seeing you. Here's a screen where people are seeing you, and for a few $1,000s worth of festival runs, it's a way. It's the ultimate advertising for your piece, and it's worked out really well in the documentary space. So it's something that we're going to continue to focus on going
Yeah,
forward for sure. Yeah.
documentaries are really booming, and I think you're onto something with that story. It sounds really intriguing, and it's always interesting to show the world, people who are not familiar with this industry. It's always interesting to show them how the industry goes and how it is. So, I mean, that sounds really interesting. I'd see that. It sounds
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
like a good documentary.
Once it's available for streaming, I'll let you know. Everything else that we've done so far is on Tubi. So it's free to
Mm,
watch if you don't mind commercials, or it's on, I think in some cases it's on Amazon and some
okay.
other streaming platforms. So, so yeah, offline, I'll share with you a bit on places where you can see stuff, if you're interested in it. But, but yeah, dude, I'm
Yeah.
excited to see this Lex Talionis. I know you had used some of my stuff in the
Yeah.
promotional aspects of stuff, and
Yeah, it matched so well with what we were doing too, and that also helped me with trying to build some of it as well with the story. Because when I write, I am listening to music a lot of the times to help me create the scenes and really, or I'll hear a song and I think, "Wow, this kind of scene or shot would go really well with this song," and then I start creating the story off of that, and,
mm,
I started listening to more of your horror pieces, and I thought, "Whoa," and then we shot, a beach scene, and I had listened to one of your pieces a long time ago, and I thought, "I I know it would be kinda cool to have in this, and what would be interesting to kind of, put it for, like, the teasers and stuff, and really just,
yeah,
bring out, the little trailers right now," and, so yeah, it really helped, and I'm really excited for this movie too. It was, because it was one of my biggest productions that I've done, and worked with a known actress in there as well, and that was the first time I've worked with somebody on that acting level, and had a lot of support from my producer and my good friend Jose Nicolini. He really helped with getting this movie going, and I'm just forever in debt for that. But it's I'm happy to show people what it is because I think it's going to be very intense. And my first time in this genre, I think I did you know a pretty good job with bringing that out. And it's not like a traditional horror film because I try to stay away from those slashers and the gore. It's more of a
Sure.
psychological and just the way that somebody can manipulate somebody into
Mm.
certain things and real world kind of experiences, but in a horror element. And that's kind of what I got across in this movie.
I'm excited because all the teasers and promotional stuff that you've done up until this point, the visual stuff, it's very subtle. It's it's intriguing. It makes you want to see more. And uh, once it's available, I am absolutely psyched to watch it. So, and
Yeah.
everything else that you've got going on, this feature is going to be amazing to see when you finish that as well. So very excited for you, man. Very
Thank you.
excited to have had the opportunity to chat with you a bit today and get to know you, have this verbal communication, even though we hadn't talked,
Yeah.
we hadn't talked
Yeah, it's all
verbally in like the 2 years
texting.
that we've known each other. It's crazy what you can get done in the world these days and
Yep.
not having even picked up the phone. You know what I mean? So it's just absolutely amazing. Um, but
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, man. And anything I can do on my end, please tell me. And anything I can provide to you sonically going forward, I'm happy to do so. So
Yeah, thank you.
you
Yeah.
just say the word, and even if you can't find it, um, I I am always inspired by active projects. So it's
Thank
it's
you. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
that's a huge
We just have to keep going in
yeah
this industry,
yeah
really.
I think to end on one of the things that you said earlier, people feel like, or certain people feel like there's this huge barrier of entry to making art specifically in this area, like in film and TV and that kind of thing. And it's really, if you've got a decent camera, you can go out and buy a decent camera for
Hmm.
$1,000 or less right now.
Yep.
You know what I mean? 4K. It's the storage is what's going to cost you money.
Yeah.
It's like you can go out and get yourself a really good camera, some decent lenses, and tell your story, and tell your
Yep.
story. And I think people feel like they have to have in the beginning. Just tell the story, make the connections along the way, build the community and the collaborations along the way. But and clearly that's what you've done. I mean, you took it from self teaching to a network of people and having premieres
Huh.
in LA with Arcane, which I'm
Yeah.
sorry I had to bow out of
No,
in
you're
January. I had a conflict. I would have loved to go
good.
come and support you. Uh, and I saw all the follow up and and how successful it was, and I'm really happy for you. But
Thank you.
uh, it's it's exciting, man. I think people underestimate what they're capable of doing as long as all they have to do is put a foot forward and
Yep.
and just roll up their sleeves a little bit and make their reality make the dream that they have a reality. And it just takes like, and people just get caught up in this huge pile, like, oh, there's so many things to do, and it's like,
Yeah.
one thing, that finish the script, get the team together, well, find the locations, use what you got, like you said, you know um use the
There's
resources you have.
Yeah, and the worst that people can say is no, and then you just go on to the next person. There's going to be eventually people who are going to see your story and understand and have the same passions as you do and come on to your movies. And you just got to
Yeah,
people I feel like people need to start learning how to put themselves out there more and speak up in terms of their movies and what they want to get going because
yeah.
I've seen just a lot of people who kind of hide in the shadows and thinking that people will see them as they walk by it, but it's not gonna work like that. You gotta put your work out there and
Now
tell
you got to
people.
self promote, right?
Mhm, yep,
And some people have a problem with that. They're like, they get kind of shy about that. They're like, well, I feel like I'm just tooting my own horn. Well, honestly, in social media and everywhere else, if you're not talking about what you're doing, nobody knows what you're doing. It's just,
mhm,
there's no other way of saying it. You've got to
Yeah.
get it in their face and show them what's going on, and your tribe will find you, right?
Yeah.
The people that like your art, the people that want to support you, they will come to you. So keep doing what you're doing, man. It's clearly working, and
Thanks.
I'm really enjoying the stuff I'm seeing so far. And I think in the next few years we're going to be very, very excited to see what PM Nelson has to come out with next. Very excited.
I'm excited for
Thanks so